Everybody, squeezing our last heat wave, globally inspiring heat wave, summer out, and abruptly fall will come in for another beautiful California winter that's coming up. It's really good for you all to come out here on a Saturday night and sacrifice that for this very important cause. About 2 years ago, in February, Keiro came out with a statement in the newspaper, which many of you saw, and it was publicized all over the place. And they said that Pacifica has given assurances that no residents will be evicted during this pandemic. Keiro will continue to work with the ICF administration to help ensure that all residents are appropriately and safely cared for. This is February 2nd, 2021. So what happened? Did they keep their promise? No. It don't look like it. Despite Keiro's assurances, from February 2020, about 70 seniors were evicted from Pacifica's Sakura ICF. In the lead up to the evictions, the facility was cited 4 times for offenses such as having a dysfunctional hot water system, deficient food, illegal intimidation, when administrators told the seniors, if you are here after the final eviction day, no one will be around to care for you. That's illegal, they got fined. Despite warnings from 10 doctors who served the patients for 30 years, they were evicted anyway. One of the leaders of the family council's mom passed away after 4 months. There are 2 others we know of who have passed away, but we do not yet know the full extent of those who did not survive the eviction. The COVID pandemic has exposed all the actors and their true character. The US healthcare system got exposed, the most expensive healthcare system in the whole world, with the least bang for buck. A system that is ranked 30th, behind Mexico, but ahead of Lithuania. Pacifica and Keiro have been exposed as profiteers who would kick out our seniors during the pandemic to make more money from building apartments in a parking lot. Kei-Ai LA and Kei-Ai South Base together had 134 deaths. That's why we have 134 right here on this leaf to the left of me. 115 at Kei-Ai LA alone, with 300 beds. Now, just to provide a little perspective on what those numbers mean, let me give you a few numbers in California. The California Veterans Administration, they had 2,100 beds, 2,100. They had 3 deaths. The Jewish Homes, a nonprofit, 4,100 beds, 4,100. They had 3 deaths, approximately the same time period. And once again, 134 with 400 beds. And what do you think about that? We found a citation issued by CNS that said Kei-Ai LA was mixing COVID staff and non-COVID staff in the same break room. It said that housekeepers were not wearing proper PPEs while they're cleaning the rooms and other violations. Kei-Ai LA was charged with, quote, endangering possibly the lives and livelihood of 286 patients and their staff with COVID-19. This is very incriminating. Facilities receive only $250 per day for each low-income Medi-Cal patient. That's most of our folks. That's most of the people who's in nursing homes. But facilities get up to $1,000 per day per person for COVID patients. So profit is a big reason facilities take in COVID patients at the expense of others, although they're needed. But they'll never tell you that. Keiro must be held responsible for selling off the facilities without vetting or getting input from the community. Keiro must be held responsible for deceiving the families in the community that there will be no evictions and that Pacifica will ensure all patients are safe and sound. For the unconscionable number of COVID deaths at KILA due to their gross negligence in failing to prevent the spread of COVID among their staff. For their part, Pacifica must at least fulfill the requirement ordered by the AG to compensate the community for transforming our nonprofit into their for-profit. Compensation was set at $237,000 per year. And that's for 5 years, so that's 1.2 million. Well, we never saw it, and there's no record of it. Pay it up, Pacifica. The only way Keiro can atone for their lies and cruel behavior is by restoring the legacy of Japanese nursing homes and returning the 84 million that they're hoarding back to the community to build a new bilingual, bicultural nursing home. Now, how is that for you and I? Keiro board has a choice. You want to be remembered for building a home for the community that will have benefits for generations to come, or you can be remembered for being penny pinchers who help destroy bilingual, bicultural care by giving away our community icon to resort developers. Which you want to be remembered for, Keiro? So say it with me 5 times. Save our seniors, justice for our seniors. Save our seniors, justice for our seniors.
Save our seniors, justice for our seniors.
One more time. Save our seniors, justice for our seniors.
Save our seniors, justice for our seniors.
You can do better. Save our seniors,
Justice for our seniors.
justice for our seniors. One more time. Save our seniors. Justice for our seniors.
Justice for our seniors.
Thank you very much. Give yourselves a hand. And now, Save Our Seniors, we're very proud to present someone who is a native-born Angelino. You can catch him in the Netflix anthology, the series Medal of Honor. He is also the lead actor in the 2nd season of the critically acclaimed AMC series, The Terror of Infamy, which can be viewed on Hulu or Amazon Prime. I watch that all the time. It costs a lot. He's also appeared in several television shows, including Greek, Grey's Anatomy, Hawaii Five-0. He has performed at the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, Improv, and other venues. So everybody, let's give him a warm welcome. Give it up for Southern California born and bred, Derek Mio. Derek Mio, everybody. Give it up for Derek.
Come on, let's hear it for David. Come here. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Huh? We excited? We activist mode? We ready to make some change? Yeah, sorry, Tamlin Tomita's not here. David Ono's not here. I'm cheaper, you know. I think that's how I ended up here. But it's an honor to be here. I've seen a lot of familiar faces out there, some new ones as well. You know, it's a beautiful night outside, right? USC is winning, huh? It's a beautiful night, isn't it? I know. Shout out to the Bruins. They're trying to divide us. They're trying to divide us. I got love for the Bruins. Don't post that. All right, let's get to some serious business. I feel a little too overdressed. All right. You guys ready? Okay, let's do this. Listen, 14 months ago, our community gathered here in Japanese American National Museum Pavilion for Kansha Obon 2, Dance for Our Seniors. And we return here tonight as we did last year as an expression of our deepest appreciation in their memory and in the memory of the 9 more that we've lost since Kansha Obon 2. So to commemorate their lives, you will later in the program receive a candle to place on the table as I just did magically. Boom, there it is. The Save Our Seniors Network expresses their gratitude to all who have supported their cause. So let us gather in joy and in bon odori. A lot of you are ready for that, huh? But dedicate ourselves to continue the fight for the living. But before we get to the dancing later this evening, we'll welcome on stage some very special guests who will speak, educate, and interact. Uchiwas and Hachimakis, all right? And without further ado, our first speaker will be speaking on behalf of the Sakura Family Council, the family seniors from the Sakura Intermediate Care Facility, known as the Sakura ICF. Representing the Sakura Family Council is Francine Imai, and she's joined on stage with the members who could not make it tonight, Mrs. Margaret Miyauchi Leong, Mr. Michael Toji, and Dr. Kensaku Nakayama. Please join me in giving Francine and her family a warm welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedules to join us this evening. My name is Francine Imai. I am a volunteer for Save Our Seniors Network and a former Sakura ICF Family Council member, which I am very strong supporter of, and I'm really honored to represent them this evening. I would also like to dedicate my portion of my speech to my late aunt, Joyce Yonemoto, whom supported me through all my struggles and was also a very strong supporter of SOS. I would like to share some brief information of my family's history. Prior to World War II, my family owned Fukuyama Hardware right here in Little Tokyo. After the war started, the government took everything from them, their business, home, and whatever they had, with the exception of what they could fit in a suitcase. At the time, there was my Ji-chan, Ba-chan, auntie, and uncle. They were sent to an internment camp in Gila River, Arizona. My mother's life started there in May of 1943. When released in 1945, they had nothing to go back to. Now I would like to share my heartbreaking story with you due to Pacifica's greed. My mother chose to reside at the Sakura Intermediate Care Facility at the end of October in 2019. And this was right before the pandemic started. My mother suffered from dementia, Alzheimer, and was diagnosed as being bipolar. At the start of COVID, Pacifica had assured us they would not close the facility while we were in a pandemic. The moment skilled nursing facilities were accepting new residents, we were asked to get prepared to have our loved ones relocated. We pleaded with them to keep the facility open at least until the end of the pandemic. They wouldn't budge. Under the leadership of Beverly Ito, Sakura Intermediate Care Facility is the only facility we know that had a zero COVID resident case. With this being said, none of us wanted to relocate our loved ones. Kei-Ai Los Angeles or South Bay have bicultural care that had a high case of COVID and death rate, so we would definitely not choose either facility. Many other skilled nursing facilities in the surrounding area had COVID cases and or death, but no bicultural care. We were not even able to tour the facilities to see if it was the right fit for our loved ones. We wanted to keep our loved ones where they would be safe, loved, and getting the same care they were receiving. There were no equivalent facilities. The outstanding care and love that Beverly Ito and her staff provided the residents could not be replaced at any other facility. Pacifica did not care if they had the only COVID-free facility in the state or the best staff. They still shut them down with plans to tear it down with rental properties right next door to Sakura Assisted Living. This shows totally no respect to our elders, as this would create so much more traffic, crime, and noise. They presently live in a beautiful, peaceful setting. The ICF building is still standing and is vacant. With this being said, they truly did not have to evict the residents. Due to my mother's condition, she became very depressed when she heard the ICF was going to close, and she would have to relocate. She became fixated on this and stopped eating because she was constantly in fear she would have to leave her home. She said she was not leaving. I promised her I would fight for her and do whatever I could to allow her to stay. She was very proud with my involvement with the Sakura Family Council and the Save Our Seniors Network. Beginning of June 2001, I picked her up to have her relocated. She cried and she said she was going back to Sakura. She said, "I'm not moving. I didn't give you permission to take me out of Sakura. I don't give a damn what you say." This was the most heartbreaking day of my life. After being relocated, she started going downhill very quickly. It didn't matter we visited her every other day. She missed her home. She missed Beverly. 3.5 short months after being relocated on September 11, 2021, my mother passed. Had Pacifica allowed the residents to stay at least until the pandemic ended, I truly believe she would have had a much better quality of life in her final days. At this time, I would also like to share the experiences of some of the Sakura ICF Family Council members who unfortunately could not join us today, but send their full support. Mr. Michael Toji's mother, a 99-year-old Nikkei, whose comfortable life was ripped from her, pulling her into a life of uncertainty, just like the concentration camp she endured during World War II. Please imagine the bewildering turn of circumstances for Mrs. Toji, the last remaining resident at Sakura ICF. For over a decade, the ICF was a place of familiarity and comfort where she expected to live out for years. But in the final days, it had morphed into a lonely, frightening place, spending her days and nights alone in a near-empty facility. She was finally forced to beg and cheer for her son to have her transferred to Sakura Gardens. For Mrs. Margaret Miyauchi-Leon, the shock and disappointment she must have felt with the attempt by Kei-Ai to hide her father's COVID status from her and her family. This is so disgraceful and demands a thorough investigation. He was diagnosed as positive, and when transferred from the Sakura ICF to the Kei-Ai caught COVID. The over 114 COVID deaths at Kei-Ai as of May 2022 is an unforgiving outcome that also demands an investigation. This also discloses the lack of planning and staff training by Kayla by Pacifica, which led to these horrific results. Once Pacifica allowed Kei-Ai to accept outside COVID patients without notice, this endangered the unsuspecting residents who trusted but were betrayed. SOS continues to strongly request the California Attorney General to investigate Kei-Ai and Pacifica Companies on its conduct during those troubling times. Our final story is that of Dr. Kensaku Nakayama's 94-year-old mother who lived at Sakura ICF for over 8.5 years and was forced to relocate in August 2021. She is now at a regular skilled nursing facility with non-bilingual bicultural care. There is only one caregiver who has Japanese language skills, making communication difficult. This means the simple day-to-day life pleasures that completes a resident's life and gives it some meaning is greatly diminished. This change of facility has led to his mother's condition to quickly deteriorate, to go from an environment where you are heard to one that doesn't. It has created a world of darkness for her where there was once light. Please keep in mind that these are representative voices out of the over 70 residents who resided there in January 2021, the majority of whose experiences you did not hear today. Also, please try to imagine if these were the experiences of your elderly parents or relatives. How would you feel? Many of our elderly Japanese were sent to or born in internment camps. Please join us to allow our elderly to live the remainder of their lives by not having the rights taken from them again. They held a very big part in helping to build our country. All elderly deserve to be treated with respect, love, and the best of care in their final years, no matter if they are black, white, brown, red, or yellow. Ephesians 6:2-3 says, honor your mother and father. This is the first commandment that has a promise with it. The promise is, then everything will be well with you and you will have a long life on earth. Please join us to honor all our mothers and fathers, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. In closing, I would like to thank all the Sakura ICF family council members for sharing your devastating stories. I would also like to express my appreciation and gratitude to the Sakura Family Council and Save Our Seniors Network for honoring my mother's memory, the memories of all the former Sakura ICF residents that were to all those who didn't say a very big thank you for allowing me to share and for your gracious support. God bless you.
And obviously, you know, our younger generations, we wouldn't have the opportunities that we have if it wasn't for, you know, everything that they had to go through and sacrifice tonight. It's now my honor to introduce our first distinguished guest, representing the 27th Congressional District, Congresswoman Judy Chu. Congresswoman Chu, yeah, come on.
Let her hear it. Come on, get loud.
I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and I'm honored to be here at this solemn occasion with the Save Our Seniors Network and community to remember those whose lives we lost over the past 2 years. I'd especially like to thank Keiro for her tireless work for the seniors of this community. Your dedication to the residents and surrounding community of this center has brought this issue the attention that it deserves, and I'm proud to stand with all of you this evening. For over 50 years, Keiro nursing facilities were the hub of connection for the Japanese American community here in Southern California. People come from not only the greater Los Angeles area, but from all over the state of California to retire, and they made a home at Keiro because of its unique bilingual services and care for the elderly in the community. These were residents that lived long, hard lives and included people who left everything they knew in hopes of a better life in the United States. And they were people who also survived the injustices of American history, and that is the internment camps. So when this facility was sold to a private real estate company, I stood with the Save Our Seniors Network to protest the sale and to insist that these essential cultural services be maintained. Now, how we care for our elders says so much about who we are and about our values, which is why the last 2 years of the pandemic have been so disturbing. Since the sale of these nursing facilities to a private development company, I've heard from many community advocates so concerned about the decline of care in what is named now Kei-Ai facilities. Unfortunately, these concerns turned out to be so well-founded. An investigation by the LA Times found that the Kei-Ai facility was the single deadliest nursing facility in California in 2021, and that is so unacceptable. To the families of those who were lost and are here tonight, I want to say that our thoughts are with you and we grieve alongside you. For too long, the concerns of the community, of family members, and of the medical community have gone unanswered. Advocates like Save Our Seniors have been ringing the alarm bell on the conditions for the residents of Kei-Ai for years. But in the middle of a pandemic, it seemed like no one was listening. Well, I am here to tell you that I am listening. I actually sit in Washington, D.C. on the House Ways and Means Committee, specifically the Health Subcommittee, which oversees healthcare programs, including the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or what's called CMS. CMS is the oversight body that is responsible for federally regulating skilled nursing facilities like Kei-Ai. So I want to thank you because we've asked for specific details on the cases of the deaths at Kei-Ai, and now we have gathered them all. And I'm here to announce to you all today that I will be writing a letter to CMS and its state level counterparts asking for an investigation into these deaths and why the many substantiated complaints have not been investigated. And I will demand an answer. We must make sure that these complaints and these lives are not swept under the rug. This community and these seniors are too precious of a resource to just abandon. Each of you has played an integral role in making sure that the voices of the Kei-Ai community are heard. Together, let us make sure that the seniors of this community are not forgotten and that they get the care they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Judy Chu, for bringing the power of your congressional office to this very important campaign and for your advocacy work since 2016. For those who may not already know, the 5-acre campus was established in the greater Los Angeles area for more than 40 years. Many in our audience tonight will remember the broad community opposition to the sale of the Keiro facilities to Pacifica Companies. Are watching Pacifica and have garnered support to halt any such development on the Sakura Garden campus, where over 100 seniors still reside in the Sakura Assisted Living and Legacy Memory Care facilities. Keep that energy up!
Who remembers us? Do you remember you? Who remembers us? Do you remember you? We stand here at one of the most important intersections of Los Angeles, First and Central, in front of one of the oldest Buddhist facades in all of America, right behind you here at the Japanese American National Museum. Who remembers us? Do you remember you? Save Our Seniors remembers. I remember my grandfather, Frank Sibley, born in Los Angeles in 1918. He was baptized at Olvera Street. He worked for the Union Pacific Railroad during the war and later on sold air conditioning before he got his own air conditioning until he retired in the 1980s. I remember my grandma Vicky, born in Highland Park in 1917. Her mother lost a daughter a year later in the Spanish flu. Grandma worked at Sears and Roebuck for 30 years, even though she had a hunchback. She lived in Inglewood for 50 years and never moved away. Lee Beck remembers his father Luther, a house painter and a preacher who always kept his house open to people in need. Lee remembers swimming and fishing in the American River. Emi Motokawa remembers her mother Fujiko, who came to Los Angeles from Tokyo when she was 40. Fujiko waited tables in Little Tokyo for 7 years before she opened up her own restaurant in Monterey Park. Who remembers us? Who remembers us? Do you remember you? Ruben Guvara remembers his father who taught him how to sing. Tracy Kato Kiriyama remembers her grandfather who was put in a concentration camp and lost his land twice after it was taken by the government. The second time his nursery was taken, it was for building the 405 freeway. Reverend Ray Fukumoto remembers his classmates from Roosevelt High School. They graduated 60 years ago. F. Douglas Brown remembers growing up in Hunters Point, San Francisco. His father was born in Mississippi and his Filipino mother born in Salinas. They named him after Frederick Douglass. Who remembers us? Do you remember you? David Maldonado, fourth generation Boyle Heights native, remembers his great-grandparents' barbershop on East 1st Street about 100 yards away. Yoko Elaine Takahashi remembers her mentor Don Nakanishi from UCLA. He was a pioneering professor in Asian American studies. David Monkawa remembers to take care of his 99-year-old mother and 96-year-old stepfather. The Save Our Seniors Network remembers 134 Japanese Americans who died of COVID, even though there was only 398 beds. Save Our Seniors remembers all the promises Keiro made about culturally sensitive care. And it is when people stop remembering the promises they made that profit gets put over public interest. Greed is what happens when the commodity is placed over the community. CEOs take secret golden parachutes and sell their interest to the highest bidder. The Save Our Seniors Network remembers all the broken promises. Who remembers us? And this is why history is important. James W. Lowen said, emotion is the glue that makes history stick. Much more than facts, we remember stories. What's your story? We need to remember, we need to become our own historians, learn our ancestors' stories. What's your story? We need to become historians. Dialogue with the landscape. Acknowledgement leads to awakening. Liberation comes from understanding. Understanding transmits.
Cherish separate. Remember humans when the cherry blossoms bloom. I will be there too. Now it's time to go. I promise to always honor you and Sakura, Miyake-san. Mike put on his Japanese kimono and the Messiah's jacket. He then walked out to the garden for the last time, bowed and waved goodbye. I marveled at how beautiful Tokyo had become as they approached the Ayami tree. The north side of First Street, some bedroom streets of Central Avenue, became a historical monument, with most of its buildings fully destroyed. Cherry trees in full bloom lined the sidewalks. The Japanese American National Museum and the Democracy Center were rebuilt in all that form of road. This is in his arm and spoke, his eyes moist, head held high. Oh, Aoyama tree, thank you for standing and covering us with prosperity and hope and continue on a peaceful path for a continued better future. Please keep little Tokyo strong at heart and with purpose. And please remember my wife Hana, my daughter Reiko, and Messiah with all of your love and compassion. Thank you. Messiah then opened a silver box that contained a gold helmet, gently placed it on Mike's head, and plugged it into another box that was connected to the tree. Then Messiah turned to Mike and Miyake-san, thank you for taking care of all my needs and concerns for the past 20 years. They have been years filled with the joy of sharing. I will now follow your wishes to transmit your consciousness into me and into our sacred tree. Technology has finally found a way to keep love alive. Now you can be together with your ancestors, lost family, and me forever. Welcome to our living. The bright, radiant aura of golden light encircled Mike, Masayo, and the tree as the lever was slowly pulled. Suddenly Masayo cried out, "My dear Miyake-san, I feel and hear you. I hear your laughter, your heartbeat." Yes, silence. Radiant tears came. After the cremation, Masayo turned as Masayo turned around to the leaves. Love, song, that is. Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. Next, we have solidarity statements from community organizations that have been critical to the Save Our Seniors Network and Sakura Family Council campaign. They've stood with us shoulder to shoulder, and SOSN co-chair
friends up here, I see Maureen Cruz from healthcare. For us, can we have CCED, King, Mr. King Chung? Nikkei Progressives, NCR, Mark Masaoka. Tokyo Historical Society, protecting our elders. Can we all get you up here, Diane Tan?
For the work of SON Network, because it won't take much for a senior to go from senior citizen housing to nursing home. It won't take much. One slip, you're there. So CCD gives SOS Network a standing support for their struggle. 1, to get affordable. 2, caring and safe. And 3, bilingual, bicultural care facilities for the elderly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, King.
Suffering and the onerous burdens placed on families forced to compromise the security and well-being of their loved ones. We insist on respect, decency, humanity, and justice. We are here to once again say no to deadly profiteering. Healthcare for us works for a just and compassionate society for all. Everybody in, nobody out. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Right on for Medicare for all.
Hello, I'm Mark Masaoka of Nikkei Progressives and the Nikkei for Civil Rights and Redress. For 50 years, the Japanese-American community contributed its dollars and time to build up the 4 facilities of the Keiro group. Then the Keiro board sold it without community input to a for-profit corporation. Now, 5 years later, the for-profit corporation has closed down 1 facility, pushed out its bilingual staff, and rented out 1 floor of a facility to very severely ill COVID patients, from which the disease spread to the rest of the facility. We support the continuing efforts of SOS to protect the remaining residents and seek justice for those who have been harmed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark. Give it up for Mark.
Good evening, my name is Vivian Escalante. I am the CEO and President of Boyle Heights Community Partners. We are actually a nonprofit organization that is going to be presenting the Cultural Heritage nomination for Sakura Gardens, or actually also known as the Jewish Home for the Aged, Japanese for the Home for the Aged. And this has actually been a site that should always be and remain for our elders in their forever homes. So I certainly hope that we can actually get legislation passed. And this is why we are all here this evening. Thanks to SOSN for their efforts in trying to do this. And don't forget, we will all be seniors soon. So we've got to make sure that our elders can stay in their forever homes, because we will be following them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vivian. I'm talking about being seniors for soon.
Good evening. On behalf of the Japanese American Bar Association, OCA of Greater Los Angeles, and the Asian Pacific American Women Lawyers Alliance, we would like to express our support of the commendable and dedicated efforts of Save Our Seniors Network and other supportive organizations and individuals to defend, protect, and advocate for bilingual and bicultural care for our seniors, especially after the drastic decline or loss of such services at the 4 former nonprofit Keiro facilities that were sold to Pacifica Companies, a for-profit entity, despite massive community opposition. The mission of the original founders of Keiro, established about 60 years ago to provide compassionate and quality bilingual and bicultural senior care, should be revived and expanded to ensure that the health, safety, and welfare of our seniors are properly protected, particularly as our senior population and the still existing need for appropriate and vital bilingual and bicultural senior care continue to grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diane. And finally, we have PANA and Neighborhood Safety Companions. And Asians with Attitude.
Okay, hey everybody, we're NSC and PANA, and we fight anti-Asian violence. Now there's nothing more violent like a corporation like Pacifica putting profits over patients. Bilingual and bicultural Medicare for all would have kept those seniors safe during the pandemic and saved thousands of lives from COVID. We want justice for our elders. Keiro, you owe the community big time. Replace the homes you gave to Pacifica. Return the community's money. Properly compensate your clients. And legislators, if you are still here, where you already are, support Medicare for all, because we're not going to allow our elders to be abused like this again. Woo! And one more thing. So tonight, we're providing security. And so if any of you feel kind of uncomfortable walking to your car, or you're having some sort of trouble, you feel unsafe, hit up one of the yellow vests here, or go to the PANA table, and we'll try to hook you up, because we're all about like safety. We protect us at the end of the day. It's going to be us who make sure we get bilingual, bicultural Medicare for all. And it was us that stepped in when Pacifica just did all their cruel deeds, when they abused our elders and kicked them out during a pandemic and caused so much grief to our families. So if you think about it, all of us here, all of us that were involved here, we're fighting anti-Asian violence. And we protect us at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Give it up for Neighborhood Safety Companions.
The telephone's too small for me.
These facilities and more candles available for audience participation. In commemoration of those tragic deaths, you'll have the opportunity to place the lit candles.
As you can kind of figure. And tonight, thank you for joining us in our interfaith candlelight service, memorial service for the 134 seniors who lost their lives to COVID-19 at the Pacifica. And if they would join me up here, we have Nipan Noito from Congressional Representative. We have Minister Diane Chu from Kei-Ai Los. We have Reverend Keiro from and we have Mr. Jeffrey Yamamoto representing American Law. We will begin service with the reading of Sangyo. Or the altar forward. When do we throw the power bill? We will end the service. We will end the service. The letter has a universal meaning, and even as anybody so reads it, if you will simply add your own thoughts and beliefs. Thank you. The Sangyo and the ceremony of the flower are Kei-Ai, which we will be shattering, which are technically useless and flower. For those who are participating in the ceremony of the flower, I thank everybody for coming here and welcoming the Buddha. This is a welcome, not a prayer or worship, and I just want you to realize that. I will start the Minister Diane G.
Musicians and activists and artists coming together. And so if you could pause and read with me the two statements right above my left hand under the picture. It says, read with me now. When the wind we plant on land we do not own, taking care, feeding each other. Let us acknowledge that we are on sacred, stolen land. This is very personal to me, my brothers and sisters. I worship brown Jesus. I worship the Jesus that not only walks the marginalized, but was marginalized. And I am convinced that Jesus would be aligned with us and not with the power brokers and the profiteering. Can I get an amen? Think about a beloved elder in your care, in your family, in your circle. Think of that person right now. See their face. See their faces.
Hoshiama was unable to come today. I wanted to quickly explain how we relate to the SOS and the fact that Rishoko Senkai bought the old Higashi-Onganji Church in 1977. And our first minister, Mrs. Nakamura, Reverend Nakamura, was our first Rishoko Senkai minister in the whole continental USA. And she dedicated her 5, 6, 7 years with our church, and eventually she retired and resided at the Keiro home. And many of our senior pioneer leaders of our Rishoko Sekai was also at Keiro home. In fact, we knew Fred Wada, the original person who created Keiro home. He worked very hard going to Japan to get funding and to support for many of the dire citizens, senior citizens of the Japanese American society here. And he was able to create the Keiro home. It was a well-established place. A lot of senior members had a wonderful time retiring and enjoying the environment, the cultural features that they helped, and with the wonderful Japanese cultural dishes that they were able to enjoy for many, many years. So we were somewhat dismayed at the prospect of Keiro home being bought out, and that the consequence of many of the senior citizens were in dire straits. So we as Rishoko Sekai wanted to support that, and one of our features is the Matoi, the energetic youth people supporting us, and hopefully we can somehow give you energy so that we can go on and make sure our Keiro senior citizens are not forgotten, and that their wishes will be to enjoy their later life in the proper perspective than where they are right now. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jeff Yamamoto from St. Francis Xavier Chapel, Japanese Catholic Center. Most of you know us as Marino, and you're very welcome to call us by that name. I'm honored to represent our pastor, Father Duan, here at the Interfaith Candlelight Memorial Service in Kansha Obon. Every Christmas in the 10 years before its sale, we would take our Sunday school children caroling at Keiro. There was always Gohan. Today we honor the 134 seniors who passed away at the Pacifica facilities. It is both tragedy and travesty. We can't change that. But how can we best honor the memories of those we lost? We can do whatever it takes to bring back facilities with the same standards and culturally sensitive care established by Keiro, and bring those standards and that culturally sensitive care to seniors of all cultures. Save Our Seniors Network, thank you. Thank God for your dedication to our seniors. Gambate! Everyone, take good care. God bless you all.
After which we will be dancing. So we're almost there.
It's said sometimes that we Japanese, and that includes us Japanese Americans also, are too preoccupied with honoring the dead. Our sights are directed, some say, too much towards the past and not enough to the present and future. This is primarily due to the culture of Buddhism. People in Japan tend to remember a loved one's memorial date better than we remember birthday. But we feel that this is a positive. Our spiritual tradition does encourage us to live fully in the present, but to look back so that we can learn from the past. Most importantly, perhaps, to reflect on the wishes those who lived before us have for us living here today. As we gather to remember those 139 friends who passed away, we can think about the lives that they lived and think about what they wish for us. It is the occasion to honor and to remember them, and we must ask, what is it that this gathering can awaken us to? I remember the poem called When I Awoke, written by a modern Buddhist Japanese poet, Yoshio Koi. The rough translation is what I wish to share. When I awoke, I found that I was alive. I had not died, I was alive. I had put aside all of my efforts to live as I enjoyed my sleep. But when I awoke, I found that I was alive. On this most wonderful morning, brighter, more wonderful than any since the beginning of time, I was alive. No, rather, I had been given the opportunity to live. The key point of this poem is the last line, no, rather, I had been given the opportunity to live. The Buddhist understanding of life is to use the term ikasareru. Ikiru means to live, but ikasareru means to be given the opportunity to live. May this occasion inspire us to work together to build a community in which all live in the spirit of ikasareru, of learning from the past, to come to appreciate this opportunity to live together in true harmony. I'd like to share with you also a traditional passage called On White Ashes. And as Reverend Kumoto mentioned, it is a tradition in our Honganji, Nishi, and Higashi traditions to read this letter at funeral services at our temple. It was said that it was written for a friend who had lost a daughter. And ever since then, it's been a very important teaching for all of us. It goes like this. In silently contemplating the transient nature of human existence, nothing is more fragile and fleeting in this world than the life of a human being. Thus, we have not heard of human life lasting for 1,000 years. Life swiftly passes, and who among us can maintain his form for even 100 years? Whether I go before others, or whether others go before me, whether it be today, or whether it be tomorrow, who is to know? Those who depart before us are as countless as the drops of dew. Though in the morning we may have radiant health, in the evening we may return to white ashes. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever. And when the last breath leaves us, our face loses its color. Though loved ones gather and lament, everything is to no avail. The body is then sent into an open field and vanishes from this world with the smoke of cremation, leaving only the white ashes. Nothing is more real than this truth of life. The fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and old, and therefore we must one and all turn to the teachings of the Buddha and awaken to the ultimate essence of life. By so understanding the meaning of death, we come to appreciate the meaning of this life, which is to be treasured because it is unrepeatable. By virtue of true compassion, let us realize the unexcelled value of this existence, and let us live together with gratitude in our hearts. With reverence, I remain.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mori. And as a final gesture, would you please receive a prayer? Thank you for your patience. And again, we are really here to celebrate as well as honor and remember those 134 deaths. But the truth of the matter is, we're also here to dance. Is anybody ready to dance? You know, this is what Bon is all about. You know, they call it Kei-Ai, a gathering of joy. And that's what we're here to do. Remember, honor, and be joyful. To dance. And let me put it this way, we're going to do 7 dances.
Forget all the ads against that are coming from me.
Okay.